Hi, this is Scott Garibay. Today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about James Gunn and his recent decisions for the DCCU, the DC Cinematic Universe, right? And the decisions that James Gunn made about the DCCU and how they impact Dungeons & Dragons. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so James Gunn, what the heck does DC have to do with Dungeons & Dragons? Well, if you don't know, now you know. I'll explain to you exactly how Batman should be showing up in Forgotten Realms every session, all right? So, if you don't know, Dungeons & Dragons is a world-stranding intellectual property, right? So Hasbro has tied Dungeons & Dragons again and again and again to new worlds, and they do it through product stranding, okay? They strand worlds of Dungeons & Dragons through one another through narrative, logic, lore, and products. Okay. All right. So first of all, the biggest strand of all the Dungeons & Dragons worlds, and actually one of the most critical connections is Dungeons & Dragons Forgotten Realms is connected directly to Magic the Gathering Dominaria. Okay. Dominaria is the primary Magic the Gathering realm. It is tied by canon directly to Dungeons & Dragons, okay? Dominaria is tied by canon to Dungeons & Dragons. It happened through plane shift, okay? In addition to that, Strixhaven is absolutely critical. Strixhaven, canon Magic the Gathering card set. Strixhaven, canon Dungeons & Dragons world. They are the same realm. They are the same world. It is canon that the worlds of Magic the Gathering are connected to worlds of Dungeons & Dragons, okay? All right. So now, let's use Strixhaven as the connection, all right? Arcavios is the world. It is a Dungeons & Dragons. It is a canon Dungeons & Dragons setting through the D&D canon hardback, Strixhaven, Curriculum of Chaos, right? And then it is a canon world in Magic the Gathering through Strixhaven, the Magic the Gathering set, okay? All right. Now, Strixhaven has Liliana. She is Liliana, the Planeswalker, and she is also Professor Onyx. She easily walks to the worlds of Magic the Gathering, and she easily walks through the worlds of D&D. This is because Strixhaven is canon on both sides, right? Now, how on earth would Batman show up in Forgotten Realms, right? Well, it's as simple as this. Liliana goes through the planar bridge on Kaladesh to its physical instance, which is the cube in Fortnite, right? Go into Magic the Gathering, you will find a card that says the cube, a Fortnite artifact, right? In Fortnite, right? And right below it says planar bridge. This is the planar bridge, right? There you go, right? So Liliana is going to go through the cube, the planar bridge, and she's just going to go right over and hold Bruce Wayne by the hand, and she will find him in Fortnite, because Bruce Wayne is in Fortnite. Batman is in Fortnite. And she will lead him back to Arcavios, and then she will lead him from Arcavios directly to Forgotten Realms, right? Narrative, logic, lore. By all narrative, by all logic, by all products, these worlds are connected. Okay? All right. So James Gunn is now handling what is, in my opinion, a Dungeons & Dragons non-player character. Right? And so every decision he makes on the DCCU, the DC Cinematic Universe, directly impacts every Dungeon Master. Because Bruce Banner, Batman, can show up in Forgotten Realms Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay? He can live there, right? Because by narrative, logic, and lore, that was set up by Fortnite, that was set up by Dungeons & Dragons, that was set up by Magic the Gathering. He belongs there. He should be there. He's not out of place. Like they're saying, if you're paying attention to narrative, logic, and lore, your player character should sit down next to Bruce Banner at some point in Waterdeep, right? And if you're not doing that, you don't know what you're doing as a Dungeon Master, okay? So James Gunn is now in our world, right? All right, so James Gunn, all right, he gets hired by Warner Brothers to be the new lead on The DCCU, all right? The DCCU is a burning dumpster fire. It is utter trash. I suffered through Black Adam recently. Oh my gosh, that was such a piece of garbage film, right? And that's got The Rock, right? If you can't make a good movie with The Rock, you know something's broken. And trust and believe, it's not me saying, oh, something's broken with the DCCU. They couldn't make $1 billion with Superman versus Batman, right? And they did make $1 billion with Aquaman. When you're making $1 billion with Aquaman, but you can't get people to see a fight between Superman and Batman, you know things are fundamentally broken, right? So they bring in James Gunn, and they're like, we understand this is completely broken. We are getting our butts kicked by Marvel. Can you please, for the love of goodness, help us, right? And so that's, so you're in a good space, right? You're in a good space because now you're acknowledging we have a major problem and we need to fix it, all right? So James Gunn comes in, right? And he stares into the abyss, right? And the darkness looks back at him. And you know what the darkness says? I'm going to tell you what the darkness says out of the abyss. When James Gunn, I do believe, he looked into the abyss, and here's what he heard. It whispered up like this: you must destroy the DC cinematic universe. You must fully destroy it. You cannot keep a single character. You must start fresh. Get rid of everything, because it's all trash. And we owe every single person in America an amount of hours between one and the amount of movies that they watched of DC times 2. So let's say I watched 20. You owe Scott Garibay 40 hours of his life because all the DC movies you made were pure junk. So you have to get rid of the entire DCU. You cannot use any of the actors, and you have to start fresh and do not connect any of the new movies to the old movies. You must do a hard reboot. You cannot use any of the actors again for any role. You must completely recast, you must completely rewrite, and you must completely rebuild. And you know what James Gunn heard the whispers from the abyss. And you know what he said? My wife is in that show with John Cena, Peacemaker. So rather than give everybody good Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Flash stories and Cyborg stories, why don't I just serve up more trash, right? I'm gonna collect my check either way. Why don't I just serve up more trash? And that's what he's doing, right? So James Gunn looked into the abyss. There was a possibility of saving the DCCU. It's not going to get saved. It's going to be the same pablum crap you've had for the last 15 years, right? And boy, I'll tell you, Kevin Feige was like, whoo, oh my gosh. I got worried for a second. I thought you guys might actually be competition. There ain't no competition. Marvel is king again, all right? So what does that mean? It means one thing for you as a dungeon master, right? Batman is Robert Pattinson. So when Batman shows up in Forgotten Realms, actually in Waterdeep, right, at the Silver Stag Inn, right, well, he's going to need to look like Robert Pattinson. And the reason why is nothing new, nothing good, no treasure, just trash, right? But Batman belongs in Forgotten Realms. If you don't have Batman in your Forgotten Realms, I don't know what you're doing, because you certainly aren't playing Dungeons & Dragons. Because Magic the Gathering, Dungeons & Dragons, and Fortnite have all told you Batman belongs every single day in Forgotten Realms, right? And when he shows up there, he better look like Robert Pattinson. And unfortunately, you are limited. This is the one time I'm going to tell you, don't get too awesome, right? Because you need to keep it canon, right? And if you're going to tell a canon DCC, if you're going to tell a story with a canon DCCU character, there's a limit on the awesome, right? So do not bring out 100% of your dungeon mastering skills when Bruce Wayne is on the screen. It's got to suck a little if it's going to be canon, because boy, does the DCCU suck. And we had a brief shining moment, right, where they might have gotten rid of every actor, gotten rid of every movie, and started to build treasure. But they're like, why build treasure when we can build trash? And that's where we are. We're going into trash DCCU round 2, right? And it is important because there was a brief shining moment where you might have not had to make all Dungeons & Dragons stories with Batman in it not suck a little, right? You got to put a dash of suck in it, or it just ain't going to look, canon. All that's my humble opinion. What's important is when I hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like subscribing and have a wonderful millennium.